Tamil Nadu, the sterilization gender imbalance. Sterilization in Tamil Nadu continues to be overwhelmingly borne by women, with men accounting for just 0.2% of total procedures in the state. In 25-26, the state recorded around 2.15 lakh tubectomies compared to only 426 no scalpel vasectomies, which is NSV, performed on men. That means just 2 out of every 1,000 sterilization procedures involving men. Male sterilization numbers, which had seen a slight rise until 2023-24, has now dropped very sharply from 1,357 cases in 2023-24. NSVs fell to 659 in 2024-25 and further to 426 this year, which is a steep decline of about 35% a year. Female sterilization has also been falling steadily from 2.54 lakhs in 2023-24 to 2.15 lakhs in 25-26. Now, this is not just Tamil Nadu, but we are talking about Tamil Nadu because Tamil Nadu has very successfully controlled its population. So, maybe this is also one of the reasons why it did it. But why the skew? Officials say the trend reflects Tamil Nadu's low fertility rate, of course, which I was talking about, which is just 1.3. which is well below the replacement level of 2.1, reducing the need for permanent contraception. But social hesitation remains a major barrier. Health officials say many women are reluctant to allow their partners to undergo the procedure, while misconception persists amongst men, and it's all about masculinity. Doctors point out that many still wrongly believe that if I get this done, then it may lead to impotence, a claim they strongly deny. Experts highlight that NSV is a quick, safe and minimally invasive procedure done under local anesthesia and completed in just under 30 minutes with very little recovery time. In comparison, tubectomy requires hospitalization and longer recovery. Some districts like Tiruvallur have shown better uptake due to additional incentives, including extra financial support over and above the government payout. So, why is this? I mean, why is there this gender disparity, and what is going on really? I mean, if you look at the entire universe, but then we are talking about Tamil Nadu, which is very progressive and has fantastic indices, as it were. We are joined by Dr. Subramaniam Swaminathan, who is the infectious disease in Glen Eagles Hospital, an expert. Thank you so much. Great to see you, Dr. Swaminathan, after such a long time. Hope you're doing well. What is this gender skew? I think it is. I've spoken to a lot of my, house helps, people who may run my house. They always say that I'm going to have a baby, and on the same day, once I've given birth, I'm going to, get my tube stitched. I always say, you're already bearing a baby, you worked all through your pregnancy, tell your husband to do it. No, he's a man. I think it's completely patriarchal norm, and I think it is really silly. But Dr. Swaminathan, it is a fact, isn't it?
Unfortunately, it is. First, it's been lovely seeing you again. So let's get this out of the way. My information is secondhand. I'm married to an obstetrician, and this is something we have discussed at home many times. So keep in mind, this is a little more complex than it seems on the surface. Family size have reduced in Tamil Nadu massively. A lot of women are elected to have 1, maximum 2 children, in which case these become very expensive assets, and therefore permanent sterilization is at times irreversible, and very often they are going for temporary measures like intrauterine loop insertion, like copper T and things like that. Because if things go wrong, their fertility is not permanently damaged. They have the option of going back for another pregnancy without too much of a problem. So that's number one. Number two, you're right about the fact that awareness and knowledge of male sterilization is sadly lacking. And this, I believe, is an education issue which we are not tackling. We need to start sensitizing people about this, even at high school level and maybe at college level as well. Otherwise, the problem is, remember, if we don't do the education, then Chinese whispers take over. I'm sorry, with all due respect to China, the rumors take over, and you will obviously have wrong kind of information going through. And it's very difficult to shout yourself hoarse saying, no, this is not actually correct. And the correct information is this. People are not going to understand, accept, when the peer pressure is that male sterilization leads to disastrous consequences in their marital life. So I think
but there
the
is
issue
no,
is a little more complex.
but there is no impotency, there is no, you know, they all have
Absolutely
the
right.
thing that they can't perform well, because you see masculinity is only tied to
Yeah.
performance.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. See, this has become an issue which is an urban legend right now, and this is a myth which has become an urban legend. It's great. It's got a life of its own, and unfortunately, the only way we can counter this is by educating them at a younger age that this is not true. This is a absolutely acceptable way of achieving family planning, and that this is something we should promote, and it is probably in the better interest of the household, not just the person, not just the woman concerned. It's something that is an investment in the family's future. And that's something we have missed a trick on. We have not started education on this at a earlier level, and we have allowed uh, these kind of innuendos and these kind of allegations to take root. And now we are wondering why that is
All
happening.
right, Dr.
Fortunately, it's not affected things because, like I said, you mentioned the fertility rate is quite low.
Yes.
And because temporary measures are still being used,
Right.
it's still working out in a very different way.
Swaminathan, I also want to ask you that how much of a burden is it, you know, for a woman to get a tube stitched? I mean, I've just given birth, I already have stitches, whether it's C-section or, you know, what is called natural birth, and then to get my tube stitched, and I'm breastfeeding my child and I'm also bleeding. Don't you think that it is a heavy burden on a woman that we have to undergo? And also urban legend is women have great tolerance, they can tolerate any pain. No, I can't. Dr. Swaminathan, the burden on women.
I agree. No, I agree. I agree. It's only if men had to undergo things like this, they would really know how difficult it is. There's a statement which said, God gave man kidney stones so that he knows what labor pains are. Unfortunately, we don't have an equivalent for puerperal sterilization. And keep in mind, uh, even if it is a fairly straightforward procedure, let's not forget it is a procedure. There are significant complications which include infections and which can have disastrous outcomes. So why would we want to go for something which involves a lot more work and has a complication risk? Although very, very low, it's still a complication as compared to something which can be easily done at any time, not when the woman is already stressed and has just undergone a major procedure. The man can go through at any time. So I don't think it's even comparable, not even remotely so. We are doing this for convenience sake. It's just the low-hanging fruit, so to speak. And so therefore, we have been doing this. But it's time for us to start reevaluating our own protocols and our own methodologies and try and see how we can change this.
You know,
but it has to start with education.
but we failed. I mean, we failed, and I'm going to count from the time of the emergency, where this was a
Correct.
draconian thing in 1976. Everyone was, you know, kind of in Delhi particularly, taken away in buses and things, and there was like mass, you know, sterilization. I think that got a thing where the men, it is now psychologically associated with coercion. It is psychologically associated with castration. I'm using a word with very
Yes.
careful consideration. Circumcision
Yes.
is, I've heard, is one of the healthiest ways to live. But then again, I'm not going to go there. But they will say, why are you circumcising us? Because that also has some, you know, meaning about, you know, whatever it is. I think it's more a medical thing than anything else. Plus the burden of, you know, why should I go out and earn? Let her get this. So we failed, doc. We just could not do this. I mean, I'm amazed. Every woman I've met, she undergoes it, not the man.
Agreed. Agreed. This is a widespread phenomenon. Every person can relate to this. And you're right. The burden of the vasectomy issue that we had about 50, 60 years ago is still not something that people have forgotten. When you coerce somebody and forcibly make them do things which they don't want to, it obviously damages the psyche. And when that happens, obviously performance becomes an issue. Like anybody who's depressed or anxious or having other problems, obviously there are other fallouts of that. But that doesn't mean that the procedure caused the problem. Also keep in mind that it has become a generationally transmitted truth, so to speak. So everybody believes that that's a very bad thing. And for women, it's far safer and it somehow doesn't damage the marriage fabric.
Okay.
I think this has to be fought. This kind of wrong narrative has to be fought. It's been more than 2 generations since that happened.
Yes.
It's time for us to move on.
Yeah.
Put that. I mean, we learn lessons from that,
Yeah.
but we have to move on and say, "Arey Baba, that's not necessarily what it is." There is so many other things that happened around the same time. Let's not conflate different issues together. And I think we need to start pushing this as an educative campaign at a younger age, so that they learn it the right way.
Right.